Hi guys, Coach Carter here. So we're going to now make a series of videos focusing on our auxiliary exercises for lower body, for upper body, and for total body exercises. So we spent some time focusing on our tier lifts. So those are the core 9 lifts of our program. They usually stay pretty consistent from sport to sport. They can change a little bit, but we're talking about multi-joint, power, big power and strength movements. So our bench, squat, clean, etc. We have 9 lifts that our tiers are built into: 3 upper body, 3 lower body, 3 total body. So to complement our tiers, and once our kids finish the tiers in the weight room, now we have auxiliary exercises that they complete. So usually our auxiliary exercises focus on posterior chain work, and we're doing a lot of pushing in the tiers, and they focus on ballistic movements since we're trying to develop lean muscle mass in our kids. But we're first going to talk about some lower body strength auxiliary exercises we do utilize in the tiers. After the tiers are completed. So as you can see, we do have a couple lunge variations. Lunges are a tier, but for example, med ball ice skaters we could do after our tier exercises are finished. So we're focusing for the next 3 videos on our exercises that are in red on our spreadsheet. These are usually smaller joint, more higher volume exercises that kind of complement what our tiers are. So here we go. So lower body auxiliary exercises. So why lower body exercises? To supplement our lower body tiers and to keep kids engaged with new exercises. So this is a really fun part of being a strength and conditioning coach. This is where you can get creative, throw in different exercises in that you've maybe been curious to try out with a certain group of kids. Keep engagement high, right? Throw in a new exercise that they've never seen before that they're going to benefit from. So this is when we can get a little more creative. Our tiers are going to stay pretty consistent, right? We're always going to squat, we're always going to deadlift, we're always going to bench for the most part. But now with our supplementary small muscle exercises, we can get a little more creative. So going into the first 4, these are probably more progression exercises, but you can also superset them with a tier lift. So when I mean superset, I mean doing 2 lifts together. So if you did a squat set, you can follow that up with a glute bridge to kind of supplement your posterior chain per se. Common superset is to do a ballistic movement with the strength movement to keep power output high. So the first 4 movements are usually not done with weight. They're usually just done to get some small muscles activated. So the first one is a glute bridge. This is a great exercise for your glutes. Okay, it's kind of a funny one. The kids will laugh when they first do it. But essentially what you're doing is flexing really hard at the top, your butt cheeks. I tell the kids, flex your butts really, really hard without any weight. I know the hip thrust is an exercise. At the high school level, we really haven't gone into that much yet, but I know it's a lot more popular at the college level, but you'll really feel this just by doing it on air as long as the kids really squeeze. So again, a great movement to kind of supplement with a squat or just to get your glutes more activated. A lot of times kids don't have those firing like they should. So just full extension at the top of the glutes, really feel the squeeze right there. I mean, if you do 10 on the ground, you'll feel the butt cheeks get really tight. So this is a really good progression exercise. Now the next 3, again, I got to give credit. This is Coach Schofield again at a clinic I saw. This is to progress your kids with lateral movements. This could easily go into the lunge progression video, but we're kind of putting it in with our lower body strength exercises. This could be used to get our kids moving in a lateral fashion at a slower pace, right? So we're really just focusing on slow lateral movements. So the first progression of this is just literally bending and touching our opposite toe with our opposite hand. The key here is keep the eyes up, okay? And I want to feel the weight shift over. So you can see my hips are shifting over to the left here. You can feel the weight moving to each foot. I don't just want to bend and touch with my chest moving. I want to actually feel the shift in my weight to prepare my body and my lower body, to prepare my lower body how to manage those loads and manage that transfer of power from limb to limb. So again, eyes up, nice and controlled, opposite hand to opposite toe. Okay, feel the weight shift. Feel the hips shift and feel the load shift. Really good exercise there. So now we're moving into our second progression of lateral movement, if you will. We are just now going to step, touch, and then come back together. So as you see, you're going to step, touch, come back together. Step, touch, come back together. The same cues here, right? I want to feel the weight shift. I want to keep the eyes up. You don't want to see kids just bending and moving moving the torso. I want to get the weight shifted from hip to hip. Feel the weight on the outsides of your feet. Okay, keep the feet flat-footed. The big cue here with this one is make sure the kids step and come together before they step in the opposite direction. If they don't step and come together, they're going to get off kilter. So it's step, touch, come together. Step, touch, come together. Okay, it should be cues just like that. Again, we're slowly getting a little more dynamic with our lateral movements here. And the third progression here, if you will, you could also superset this with a strength exercise or with a ballistic exercise. So if you're doing squat jumps and then you throw in some lateral touches, now we're just getting the psoas and small hip muscles a little more engaged. So now on this one, it's going to be a little more ballistic. So now I'm doing a little bit of a jump hop in the middle, reaching and touching. Again, the movement here is staying the same, right? I'm learning how to absorb force on the outside of my feet. Eyes are up, big chest. But now in the middle, I'm getting a little more dynamic to really force that body to really carry that load. So really enjoyed this progression, getting kids, and again, you know, we do so much linear work on the track and stuff, but most of your open chain sports, soccer, lacrosse, football, they got to move in all different directions. This is preparing them to move and balance that weight on the outsides of their feet, transfer of force. So instead of just getting your kids out there doing agility movements at full speed, get them working those lateral movements first by stepping, and it's going to prepare the body how to load. I'm sure you know a lot of ACL, a lot of lower body soft tissue injuries can be prevented by utilizing these exercises. So again, these four could easily be in a progression video, but you can also superset them, and you will feel them in the lower body in terms of a strength movement. So we're including them in this one. Okay, now going to more exercises that can stand alone in the aux exercise category by themselves. So ice skaters. Okay, so now we're essentially doing a much more dynamic lateral movement. I like to incorporate some type of weight in the middle of the chest. The med ball is very common, or the kids can hold a dumbbell. But now I'm pushing off, balancing, pushing off. So now again, I'm transferring force, teaching my limbs how to absorb and load that force in the opposite direction. So very good one here. You can also do it moving upwards, so kids can hop at like a slight angle upwards, like they're moving up a road. That's a variation we'll do with this. But the load, again, stabilizing the core, more pressure and more absorption of force on the single limb. Very good one there. Okay, so now the next two are lunge progressions. So again, lunges for us are one of our lower body tiers, but I just wanted to kind of show you how we would use them with a weight. So in this case, a dumbbell. So for step ups, again, we're stepping, throwing our opposite knee up in the air, keep that toe dorsal flexed. Very key here, get the opposite knee up to the hip to really get that full hip flexion, and then we're alternating at the bottom. Again, very slow controlled movement, utilizing unilateral strength here again. A lot of the auxiliary exercises we do for lower body are unilateral. Since we do a lot of squatting and deadlifting in our program, we want to even it out with some single limb movements. Again, I'm not a big fan of doing barbell step-ups just because it could be an injury issue if a kid loses balance. I do like barbell for regular lunges on a flat ground surface or walking lunges. That again is a lunge variation, but I don't have a video of it, but it could easily be included in this. But it is one of our base tiers, just the whole lunge series. Okay, moving now to split squats with dumbbells. Here is, again, more load on a single limb, a leg, one leg in this instance. Again, I just want the toe hanging off the box. I want the foot on the ground to be far enough forward where the kid can get into a nice deep squat. You will feel this. Again, the load should be at a good point to where the kids feel the weight, but not to where it's so heavy that they can't grip it. If you want to have a kid help with a barbell, that's fine with this one. But again, I think dumbbell is a lot more efficient. So again, I could probably sink a little bit lower on this one. My foot can probably be a little further forward. You want to keep the knee behind the toe, keep the foot flat on the ground. Again, you're going to be working a lot of the hamstring, a lot of the quad when you're doing split squats. Again, this should be used for a little bit more of your advanced athletes. This should be like the very end. So this split squat movement would be at the very end of a lunge progression. It's the same theory when you use the dumbbells. Get the kids some strength before you just throw them in this pretty dynamic movement. Okay, so we kind of have a wide variety here with the aux exercises for lower body. We have some pretty much progression exercise that you could superset. We have some tier variations with the lunges, and then we have some more just straight lower body strength exercises. The last one we're going to talk about is single leg RDL. Again, this is a very dynamic movement. I was lucky enough to work at I was working in Marietta Mesa. We were lucky enough to win a state championship in track. We had great sprinters, great coach, is in plural, and we had a great group of sprinters in plural. But they used a lot of this exercise and it really developed their hamstrings. So if you're working with any type of ballistic, sprinting, jumping type of athletes, this is a great one. I like to start with the knee in the air to kind of get the balance before the kids kind of hinge over. Two big cues is the leg that's on the ground. You want it to stay a little bent. Okay, you don't want to have that leg perfectly straight. It's going to put way too much stress on the hamstring when they bend over. And you also want to keep the hips square. If the toe that's in the air opens up, it'll open up the hips. And then you're going to get a little rotation in there, which is going to cause the kids to go off balance. We want to make sure they're staying linear, rocking forward, rocking back. Dumbbells can be included once the kids get the movement down on air. I'm showing you with dumbbells. Really, if you do this on air, you'll feel the strain in the hamstring. It really loads all the way up the back of the leg. So again, I kind of, work on my balance here, but nice and control with the hinge. You don't want to rock up and down like I am here. You want to stay nice and fluid with the hips. Hips should stay at the same height the entire exercise, right? We want to focus on the rock forward, the rock back, the rock forward, the rock back. Keep the torso nice and straight. Keep the head. Again, you can keep the eyes up. It helps with balance, but the main cue here is, again, control rock back, control rock forward. And you'll really feel the load on the hamstrings. I don't do barbell RDLs. I feel like at the high school level, it gets way too confusing when you mix in barbell deadlift with barbell RDLs. Older kids can handle it. When I'm working with a lot of young kids, which I normally am at the high school level, I don't incorporate it. The RDL work we will get in is single leg RDLs, and we will occasionally do dumbbell RDLs. Okay, programming. These exercises will either be supersetted, as I already mentioned, or they will be completed when all the tier lifts are done. Okay, so again, our yellow lifts on the program are our emphasis, and then once we finish our yellow, we go to our red. Again, most of the time the kids get all 6 lifts done if it's a 6 lift day, but our focus is tiers followed by ox exercises. We focus normally on high volume, low intensity, so most of these exercises you're doing anywhere between 8 to 12 reps. We really don't load too much. Our heavy load and our low volume happens with our tier lifts. No percentages because we don't test these exercises. Kids will use weight they can complete the set rep range with. A lot of our ballistic movements, which we're going to talk about in another video, we want the load to stay pretty light so we can get full power output. You can kind of mess around with the strength exercises with a little heavier load, but generally we want to keep the load down and the volume high, focus on high reps, focus on muscle memory for the high school age group. So just to give you an idea of how we do set reps with our lower body ox exercise for mid-ball ice skaters, we start with 3x10. You can go easily 4x10 if you want. We might throw in moving up like I mentioned, but we're pretty much keeping the sets and reps consistent throughout the whole 6 weeks. Again, we're not focusing really on the intensity with the weight here. We're focused on just getting the movement pattern correct. If I showed you kind of our lunge tier, but again, just kind of an idea of how the sets and reps would work. 3x16, we'll probably go into the 4x12 range and maybe drop to 10 reps on the 6th week of the cycle. So focus here again is muscle memory, getting the kids in the positions and getting those smaller, unilateral limbs a little stronger. So to finish up, again, ox exercises are a great way to get creative. You want to keep some routine, but it's also fun to get kids doing new exercises that you know are going to be effective. If you find something really cool, you go to a clinic, you watch a cool video, and you think, hey, this could help my sport or my kids, the auxiliary group of your workout is when you're going to throw that stuff in. Don't be changing your tiers up. That's going to really ruin your program. Get the foundation set, which is your tiers, and then now you can sprinkle in the extra sauce, if you will, with some cool auxiliary exercises. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope this helps.